What's up, tricksters and tricksetters, and welcome to the first official Corrode guide. Today, we're gonna talk about this map, which agents are the best on Corrode, how to play the map on a macro and micro level on both attackers and defenders side, and what should you do to have the absolutely highest win rate on this map in ranked solo queue. Some kind of a meta kind of developed already, and there's a few things that you can abuse and a few things that you need to do on this map to have the highest win rate, the higher win rate, essentially. So the first thing we're gonna start with, what are the best agents on this map, and what should you main on this map? When it comes to Sentinels, currently, Cypher and Chamber are your best options when it comes to Sentinels on Corrode. Cypher has the tripwires that reveal the enemies, and the camera, and there's a lot of, the map is made out of paper, basically on a defender side, and there's a lot of things and setups that you can abuse with him, which makes him really good. Chamber right now has a global trademark, so you can cover one choke point consistently on both attack and defense, and Chamber right now is a really solid pick in ranked solo queue, like still A tier, and if you're below Immortal, I would just either recommend you to play Cypher or Chamber. Vise is also a really strong pick on this map, but the problem with Vise is that I will not recommend you to pick Vise below Immortal 1. You will not have a fun time at all in the lobbies below Immortal 1 carrying with this agent, especially on the attacker side. Now, when it comes to initiators, Gecko will be my top pick, only because he is the most versatile and the most self-sustainable. Breach and Fade will be my secondary picks, while arguably, Sova is probably the best agent, the best initiator you can play on this map, but the problem is, below Immortal 1, you're just gonna be looking at your camera on the attacker side, on your drone, how your teammates are dying, how your jet is not executing a bomb site, and it's not really a good pick to play in ranked solo queue. So if you're above Immortal 1, I will probably main Sova, but below Immortal 1, I would go for either one of these picks here. Now, when it comes to controllers, Omen is the absolute king on this map, with the absolute highest win rate, the only logical pick, in my opinion. Clove is something that you play if you don't want to play Omen, or you're not really good with Omen. Maybe, in Immortal 3 and above, Astra is a bit better pick, because, with a pool, with a stun, and with her ultimate, it's very easy to take the space. But I would just stick to the Omen. If you need to pick one controller, just go with the Omen. And Viper is a really strong pick on Corrode, but you need to play a double controller setup, otherwise you're not gonna have fun on the attacker side. And another problem with Viper is that playing double controller setup in the lobbies below Immortal 3 is an instant for your win rate. And when it comes to duelists, without any doubts, Jet and Yoru should be your main picks. Especially Yoru is a really strong agent on this map. There's so many different ways how you can take space, execute bomb sites. Rotating on this map is really slow from A site to B site, and with Yoru teleports, you're quite literally everywhere. And when it comes to Raze, Raze is also good because the map is mega claustrophobic, and it's so easy to abuse her utility, same as on the maps such as Bind, to take the space and to apply the pressure and take some easy kills. But keep in mind that on this map, almost anything can work. Even though these are the best agents in ranked solo queue for Corrode, you can play Deadlock. You can play Iso, you can play Reyna, you can play even KO. KO is really strong in pro play and Premier and in a team play environment. Neon is also decent on this map, unless you're playing against Vise, then you're not gonna have fun. Phoenix is good, Reyna is good, Sky is decent, she's okay. Before we continue, this video is sponsored by Valorant Tracker TRN, which you can download for free by using my link from the description. This application allows you to analyze yourself and to always understand on which fields you can improve as a solo queue player. And in my private coaching sessions, this is the first thing that I do for my students. But this software is extremely useful to analyze your teammates and enemies as well. During your live games, based on these statistics, already at the start you can see which players are the weakness of yours or enemy team, which can increase your chances of winning if you use this data in the smart way. For an example, you can check player parties, and if 2 or more enemies are queued up together, you can probably expect from them some higher level of team play. They also have integrated guides and lineups that can be extremely useful if you're learning new agents, or if you simply want to increase your game knowledge while you're actually playing the game. Even though this video is sponsored by Valorant Tracker, I truly believe that this software can give you an advantage in your ranked games, and it can help you to improve faster. Now, when it comes to Corrode, on the attacker side, basically in the early rounds, in ranked solo queue, always the best idea is to try to do something together with your team. You don't need to lurk, you don't need to flank, you don't need to default. The reason for that is because rotations on this map take a lot of time. Like basically for a player to rotate from B all the way to A, especially if he's going through the spawn, it's ages. Like the map is made in a very weird way, where like there's a lot of individual sectors that the attacker side players need to clear. But if you notice that enemies are not fighting for all of these sectors, or they're not fighting efficiently enough, the best way to start the map is simply abusing the 5-man executes, 5-man pushes, and seeing how the enemies are going to respond to that. Because, for an example, if enemies are not applying any pressure in the B-main area of the map, or A-main area of the map, they're simply cooked. They're not going to have a fun time defending A site and B site. The map is kinda built like Ascent. Like it's like a polymorph between something like Ascent and Abyss, for an example. There's a lot of angles to clear, a lot of corners to check, like your crosshair placement needs to be immaculate, and there's not a single angle on this map that should be unchecked. Clear everything. Boxy box, boxy box, boxy box. This angle here, like even if you have initiator utility in front of yourself, check every angle yourself. So in the first like around 4 rounds, try the 5-man executes without touching the mid area of the map. Like you don't need to do any type of a split, you don't need to do any type of a fake, just do a 5-man push B or a 5-man push A. Now, how do you decide what you primarily want to abuse? Early on, completely depends on the enemy's team composition. Like for example on this map, your default bomb site and #1 priority should be B site. Like B site is much harder for the retake, much easier for the post plant, and much cleaner to be executed. Because on B site you don't have that many sectors that you need to clear, and there is one tip that I'm gonna give you that's gonna make your post plants 10 times easier and 10 times better. A site is a bit more problematic. Like first we have the A main area of the map, then we have this initial sector here, then we have these 2 alternative sectors here, and then you end up on the actual bomb site. So we need to clear all of this very carefully, like we need to use different smoke setups, we need to rely on our teammates a bit. It's just a show pushing the A site in ranked solo queue. If enemies don't have a single sentinel, hardcore sentinel in their team. So what is a hardcore sentinel? Cypher, Killjoy, and Vice. So if enemies don't have any of these 3 characters, what you can do on this map is 3 rounds in a row, execute the B site, together as 5, and then in a 4th round, change the pattern a bit. Fake B, go A, fake A, go B again. Like you can do various different strategies. If enemies do have one of these protagonists, then 3 times in a row, do a 5-man execute onto A site. Now, when it comes to the first round, if you're pushing B site, the execute should be pretty standard. Like you don't need to mix it up too much, like, you know, we should just have default smokes that I'm gonna showcase later. But when you're pushing A site in a first round, I would recommend to you to completely avoid this area of the map right here. Basically the A short. Just fight for the front of the site, fight for the elbow, take the site control, and CT, and that's it. It is way too much of a risk allowing your teammates to split the site in the first round, and there is no objective reason to do that at all. Now, let's first talk about the B site. Generally B-main push and stuff like that. When you're executing B-main area of the map, always be ready for some kind of an enemy's aggression. Like it is so easy to aggress the main areas of the maps on this map. Like if enemies have KO, Breach, any agent such as that, you know, with a pop flashes and stuns, expect they might be doing this here. You know, we can hide here for a few moments, you know, for 1, 2, 3 seconds, deal our B main execute, it's fine. And generally speaking, when you're doing B pushes and B executes, I think that almost always you should delay them a bit. Because this wall here is made out of paper. You just never know when someone is gonna use this spam lineup and maybe delete 1 or 2 of your teammates. Like this whole map is essentially made out of paper, and that is the gist of the map. Then we can simply jump spot the enemies here, or use some recon or flash ability to take this initial space, and that's it. Of course, you know, it would always be better if you're using some kind of a rechargeable ability to clear this area of the map, or if you're using some kind of an ability that is not as valuable, such as Omen Paranoia. Always clear this area of the map very carefully. You know, if you jump spot this and you don't see any enemies there, still expect that maybe, you know, Chamber is gonna play with the teleport here. Clear this angle carefully, one at a time. Then we can go for one jump spot, second jump spot, and now we go in. Done. You don't need to clear any of these angles, like, or you can just clear, you know, this, be ready for enemies up there, and here, and now we do the beam and execute. When you're pushing B site in a default way, you should always have a smoke for the tower, right here. It should be sticking out a bit. Like, it should cover the whole tower area of the map. But don't make it way too sticky. Like, this is, for an example, not an optimal smoke. Because you give enemies more time to be invisible as they're dropping down, and maybe your teammates are not gonna react to that. Like, still put this smoke always up here, but towards the enemies. You know? Like, just don't give enemies this position and this position from which they can peek you and your teammates. That's a perfect tower smoke. Done. The second smoke should always go for the B link. That's it. So this is your default smoke setup. And with the Omen, you know, you should be using Paranoia primarily for the enemies at the back side, or for the enemies on the front side or left side if you want to do some execute. You know, like, for example, you can flash the enemies on the left, teleport behind this box, and then from this box, engage the enemies and take space. Depends what type of execute you want to do. Now, when you're taking space in this default way, like in the first round and in the full buy rounds, where you're not playing some kind of an eco or a bonus, you primarily want to path in a way where you want to quickly end up in this position and somewhere in the center of the site, in a spot where you can play refrag with your allies and not get fucked by the enemy's flashes, stuns, and stuff like that. Like, a lot of the players, when they're pushing B site, they get stuck here. Not optimal. A lot of the players instantly path like this. You're exposing yourself too much. You're exposed from the backside, from this spot. Like, if you don't know exactly where are the enemies, you're way too overexposed. Usually, the best idea is to simply reach a spot such as this one, and then from this position, to start engaging the enemies together with your teammates, and you have the ultimate refrag potential with your allies. Obviously, this is something you're not always going to be able to do. With agents such as Omen, Vele, Raze, and others, like, it's easy to have this type of a pathing. Your primary pathing when you're executing beasts should be something like this. We are pushing here, jump spotting the enemies on this spot, pulling yourself away from this wall, clearing all of these common and off angles carefully. Then from this spot right here, we can either jump spot the enemies again, or we can just pull ourselves away and just jiggle peek every angle. We take the beam and control carefully. We can also delay the pushes if enemies have a lot of, you know, recon abilities and stuns. And then your main pathing should be getting in this position ASAP and starting to path in the middle of the bomb site as soon as possible. So you can play a trading game here, trading game here, trading game there. You can path towards this spot, but try not to get stuck. What is the next important tip when it comes to B site? The main mistake that players make on this map is they just take the site, plant the spike, go back in the B main, and they think the round is over. They just play the postman like that. But, like, this is one of the rare bomb sites and rare maps where you almost always want to overextend your push. Teams that take the CT control and tower control during the post plants in ranked solo queue have 70% higher chances of winning that post plant. Playing the post plant on the B side with a CT control, site control, and the B main control is 10 times easier. Of course, you don't need the control of everything. Like, you know, we can first take the B main, take the site, leave a few players here, but also have a few players here, and just leave the site completely. And now from the CT and from the main, we can play the post plant. CT control is mega important. The tower and this area of the map right here. And especially if you notice that your default post plants, where you play just from the site or from the B main, are not working, start fighting for this area of the map. Your post plants are gonna be 10 times easier. When it comes to the post plant, Unfortunately, the site is built in a way where you always need to position yourself in a way based on how your teammates are positioned. Like, you want to make crossfires with them, you want to be able to refrag them, fight with them, and that's it. Like, there's not a single spot on the site, or in the spawn, or in the B main that is like a god tier. Like, the most optimal thing that you can do is maybe play just in the middle of the bomb site, hold a CT, and just play the trading game with your allies as the enemies are coming in. If your whole team is in the B main, you can play with them. If your teammates are in the CT and tower, play with them. But if your teammates are stuck on site and in the B main, your best option is once again to play here. And simply just, you know, be ready to trade your allies left and right. When it comes to the spike plant on the B site, you plant it based on how you want to play the post plant. If you're playing from the B main, this should be your default plant spot, because another reason for that is, you know, with a COV type of controllers, you can just use this smoke and completely demolish the enemies. Or you want to plant it like essentially closer to this wall if you don't want to overextend so much and overpeak from the B main. Also, what's an okay plant and a really good plant is planting the spike here. Because this wall is fully spammable, you have an angle perception advantage over the enemies that are defusing the spike there. You can also see the enemies there, like from this position. And it's very easy spamming this position if the enemies smoke you off and finding the enemy's body, but the spike should always be planted while you're looking in this direction. So this is how the spike plant should look like. So that this circle is very small. Basically, this box is telling you how much you need to, you know, where you should be spamming the enemies. Like, enemies can be here, here, or here. And with any medium or high pen weapon, you can just kill that guy, you can Molotov him. Since there's other controllers in the game, with Viper, what you want to do, most of the time, you can simply cut off the whole backside area from here, and you can use your, like, Poison Cloud. There's a lineup from the B main for the B tower. But also, when you're pushing into the CT, be aware that enemies can play on this position. Chamber, Jet, Omen, Raze, Bailey, any agent like with movement abilities can get up here. And also, there is one cringe spot that I found out that you can spam with the Odin. So maybe if you're playing duo queue, you know, you can tell your friend Sova, brother, as the enemies are coming in, give me a dart here from tower. You teleport here with Omen, buy the Odin, and start destroying the enemy's anal cavity from this position. This is spammable with high pen weapons. You can clear this angle. This is spammable with high pen weapons, so when you're planting the spike here or playing here, you should always be aware that enemies can use a recon ability and kill you on this spot. But thankfully, you have angles such as this one, where you can take a cover to dodge the recon ability, or while you're getting revealed, to reset yourself and just reset the fight with the enemies. When it comes to the A main area of the map, first thing that you should understand is that attacker side players have an advantage over the defender side players. You are peeking the enemies before they peek you in the A main. So even though it looks similar to A main of Ascent, it kind of works in the favor of attacker side players, like this sector number 1. But in this area, like, once again, same as on the B main, you should always be ready for some enemy's utility and some enemy's aggression. Breach stun, breach flash, aftershock, enemies pushing you with a KO flash. You know, the area is made in a way where it's really easy to be taken. But what makes it better than A main of Ascent is that one-ways don't exist. Like, there's not a single one-way that you can place up there, at least not immediately at the start of the round. And it's easier to regain the control. Like, even if the enemies push you back, and you have this type of a smoke, okay, you know, we can just pop flash out, use Omen Paranoia to go in, use a Key of Flash, Sky Flash, and just take it. Just when you're taking this aim and area of the map, always be ready for this type of a fight. Be ready for Omen or whoever the fuck might be playing there. Clear that box, and just one angle at a time, clear every single position that you're approaching. Top of the boxes, behind this position, these off angles. Now, path forward, check behind the box, check the short, move in. Check this position, be ready for the short area of the map as well. And now we are doing the execute with our teammates. This area of the map is a bit more problematic. Like, you know, this is nothing. You know, most of the times we will just take aim in without any problems. But this second sector is the problem. Where the fuck do we do the smokes? In the first round, and in every single round, where you're playing some kind of an eco bonus, like with the short range weapons, you just want to do this smoke. Like, you don't need to fight for the A short area of the map at all. One of your teammates can maybe lurk through here and try to surprise the enemies with a late push and late timing. But if you're doing a 5-man execute on A in the first round and some eco rounds, hull by rounds, force by rounds, bonus rounds, focus primarily onto the elbow. Generally speaking, you should mainly prioritize the elbow control. When you take the elbow control, it is so much easier applying the pressure onto the enemies here instead of just pushing through the A short. When you're pushing through the A short and you have this type of a smoke, you never know when the enemies are gonna butt fuck you. You never know when they're gonna peek out. If your teammates are not using some razor vines here or like nanoswarm tripwire, like I don't know, like it's not fun at all. Keep in mind, a lot of the times the recon agents from the enemy team are gonna play A site because, you know, literally Sova can do a dart from here and this wall is fully spammable with the high pen weapons, so we need to be ready for that shit. Like, you should always keep that at the back of your head as you're taking the space and as you're executing A set with your teammates with this smoke setup. Once you take the elbow, in the CT, like most of the times you just want to do this. Most of the times. Like, if you're not certain if an enemy can be behind this box, just smoke the spawn, smoke the box, don't even think about it. If you're not 100% certain that all of the enemies are here, don't do this type of a smoke. And then, you know, when we're pushing in, we can just clear one angle at a time, move in, clear the box, clear this, plant the spike, that's it. Now in full buy rounds, like, you have multiple options when you're taking the sector 2, 3, and 4. You can try doing a default execute, basically smoking the short, having some kind of a flash paranoia recon ability for the left side, recon ability for the elbow. The problem of this part of the map, if you don't have recon abilities to clear this box or to clear the elbow here, I mean, you're pretty much in a sandwich. There isn't a single efficient way in which you can basically fight this fight first or clear this angle and then focus on this, or some kind of an efficient way where you can like clear this without getting fucked from that box. There needs to be some level of team play, teamwork. Like, you cannot do everything alone. When it comes to like post plant on A site, really depends on a lot of factors. Like, you know, if you have some cringe abilities and high pen weapons, this right here is probably the best default plan that you can have if you want to spam the spike and just play from the B long. You have like a Sova ultimate, I don't know, Killjoy nanoswarms that you can drop through the window, shock darts and shit like that. That's your like best bet. If you don't really know how the post plant is gonna end up, just do some kind of an open plant. Like open plant where like you see the spike from elbow, from the CT, and from this area right here. Like for an example, simply planting the spike right here. Like, this is the best spot that I would recommend to you in ranked solo queue if you have no idea how the post plant is gonna pan out. But, you know, if your whole team is playing from the site, you're just playing post plant in this area of the map. Right here. Don't, without any doubts, like, you're just putting the spike in this corner or in this corner and calling it a day. If your team is only playing from the elbow, then you're forced to plant the spike on this position right here. Now moving on to the mid area of this godforsaken map. We're taking the mid area of the map. What should be a default smoke when you're taking the mid area of the map? If you're pushing mid in a full buy round where you have long range weapons, you're defaulting. You don't know if you're gonna go A or if you're gonna go B. Always smoke top mid right there. The absolutely best way to take the mid area of this map, you ask your controller to give you this smoke, and you ask your Fade or Sova to give you this type of a Hound or this type of a Recon Dart. The Fade Eye should end up either here, and the Sova's Arrow should end up here. Scouting the enemies behind this position, scouting the enemies that are peeking from A short, and scouting the enemies that are basically there. Also with Omen, like every single time when you're taking mid, this teleport is very safe. You can just take initial space for your teammates, you know, and with movement agents, like you can try to reach this spot or that spot as soon as possible and take the additional space. A secondary setup that you should have in this mid area of the map is basically this smoke right here. You're smoking far to the left and you're cutting off this whole sector right here. This smoke you should use when you're taking mid area of the map in eco and Hellby rounds. You have stingers, buckies, judges, classic pistols, sheriff, ghost, that type of shit. Use this smoke. Take first the A short area of the map, and then let's see what we're gonna do next. So how should we be scaling up mid? Most of the times, if you're not using some kind of a teleport or ability in this corner, you should be scaling from the right side and doing this, because you are faster than enemies that are starting here, and we can just, you know, swing out with the smoke, take this position, and now we move in. We can check this spot, clear the short for our team and with our team, essentially. No matter what you're doing in the mid area of the map, it is a really good habit, really good habit, that you check behind the wall. It's gonna cost you maybe 1 second. You know, if you don't have any recon ability for this area of the map, I mean, you never know when an enemy is hiding here and he is getting ready to backstab you and make a sandwich out of you. This is also a very important tip. No matter what type of a split you're doing, is it a B split or the A split, you should always have 3 or 4 players going through mid. Like only 1 or 2 players should be going through the B main and A main. And the spike is going through mid, unfortunately. Splitting through mid is very dangerous. There's a lot of angles and corners that you need to check. A lot of these smokes don't do shit, because enemies can just peek through them, pop flash you and delete you. So when you're doing the splits on this map, no matter if you're splitting A or B, most of the times it should be some kind of a 4-1 type of a split. Or a 2-3, depending on the enemy's team composition and how hard is it for your teammates to lurk or to pick a good timing to go through the A main and B main. And I would always advise you, play with your teammates on mid. Now we're on a defender side of Corrode. So first of all, Corrode on a defender side in ranked solo queue should be a fast rotation map for you. Almost on the first contact between your team and enemy team, you should be making some kind of a move, like supporting your teammates, playing with them. And this is the map where you basically prioritize refrag potential and team play over the map control. Everything is about the trading, pressure onto the enemies, and one of the worst mistakes that you can do on this map, on a defender side, is playing way too passively. Like for example, selling the B main area of the map for free, selling the mid area of the map for free, and selling the A main area of the map for free. Like almost in every single round, no matter if you play some kind of eco, Hellby, shotgun setup, whatever, your starting positions need to be this one here, gathering this information, or jump spotting the enemies. If you're starting somewhere on mid, basically starting at the bottom mid and jump spotting the enemies. If you're starting short, gathering this info. And if you're starting on A side, we need to jiggle pick this corner and gather the information for our teammates on the opposite part of the map. The reason for this is that rotations take too much time. I'm gonna give you one simple example. You have some kind of a tripwire setup, here, whatever, and you wanna play from tower. You cannot allow that enemies reach this position, they explode onto the bomb site, and your teammates have zero info. Your teammates are still here, and they didn't start rotating at all. Now, on a defender side of this map, even though B site is your default site and A site is the secondary priority, most of the rounds you should be starting around the mid area of the map and fighting for mid. Basically playing fast rotations between A and B. And same as on Ascent, on this map, you value the control of the mid area of the map more than control of A site and B site. If the enemies take the mid, they push you back, and they also take the control of the main areas. Playing the map in ranked solo queue becomes so much harder. In the first round, no matter which agent you're playing, you should be playing on the B site and defending the B site. I've just noticed from the 100 ranked matches that I played and VODs that I've analyzed, in 60% of these games, in the first round, enemies will execute B site. And also what I've noticed and what I've collected as a data is that if the enemies take the B set in the first round, only 30% of the retakes end up in a win in the first round. So try to defend B set in the first round and just play fast rotation towards the A site. Now, when you're defending B site, as I said, like, your starting position should always be something in the B main area of the map. Like, the bare minimum you should be doing for your teammates is jiggle picking this angle. Or if you have the operator or some kind of a sniper holding the enemies, and then we are repositioning onto the secondary, third, fourth, fifth spot. If you have teammates, we can fight for this area of the map aggressively. Basically ask for the flashes, ask for the stuns, take the full beam and control. That's also fine. With Odin, you can spam this corner, I mean with any high-pen weapon, and try to maybe get a kill onto the enemies and some early damage. With Chamber, you can put your teleport in any of this spot, take more space, get into this corner, play some kind of a double bait setup. This is not really the best spot for the agents that don't have the movement abilities and teleports, because if you get stuck here alone, it's not really fun. This smoke here is also a solid alternative, especially in eco and halberd rounds. What you can do around this smoke, you can actually wrap it here and pop onto the enemies with a Bucky, Judge, Shorty, Stinger, and maybe trade yourself for a few kills, delay the enemies push a bit, and that is generally how you should be playing the eco rounds in when you have low economy. Your secondary position should always be some kind of an safe off angle. Like for example, with movement agents, Chamber, Teleport, Omen, Jet, whatever, you can take, you know, the top of this boathouse, I mean, this is not a boathouse, like the top of this little house, as a secondary spot. You can play on the edge of it, and you can take an off angle, such as this one, to take a kill. Now, if you're playing on this position, I would always recommend you to play on the edge all the way here. Why? Because usually when the players are clearing the B main area of the map, they will already place their crosshair up here, so it is not really worth playing on this part of the boathouse. But once they do this, they will usually go down to clear this spot, and if you're up there, there is a chance they won't be ready with their crosshair placement for you on that location. This spot is also good for fighting enemies that are going top mid, but you need to have some beam and control and someone guarding your ass. With non-movement agents, your secondary spot needs to be a bit safer. You can maybe fight around this box, especially if you are playing some pop flash character with a stun, smokes, it's fine. This can also be your secondary position. It is a bit more passive, it's okay. Shotguns and close-range weapons on the B side are really good, especially when you have someone to destroy the recon abilities of the enemies. Playing, you know, here and then surprising the enemies, playing here and then jumping onto the enemies, like those type of double bait setups are amazing on this map. This off angle is also great, once again with the movement agents, because this box is spammable, but still a great secondary position where you can take one fight and then reset yourself for a second fight. This off angle here is a really good off angle as a third position. For an example, you use this spot as a first spot, this spot as a second spot. This tight angle here is amazing because enemies that are pathing or lurking like this, they're never aware of that spot at all, and you essentially see them. When it comes to the A site is a bit easier for defense. There's a lot of sectors, a lot of crossfire setups, a lot of double bait setups that you can use to stop the enemy's push. You can ask your teammates to give you this smoke. Maybe use some kind of a stun, paranoia, flash, take the full aim and control. Why not? One of the default plays on this map that can be for you is taking the aim and control. But I just think that it's much more efficient and better if you're taking the mid control every round. Your secondary position can be this angle, or if you're playing movement agents, this angle. Also, you can get on this spot by doing a standard boost, basically with your teammates. This spot here, if you're playing some kind of a crossfire setup, this spot here, and that's it. If enemies are pushing A, the worst thing you can do is like go into short, if you're not certain that they are splitting the site. Because if they smoke you off here, you're practically useless. On this bomb site, same as you do on the attacker side, you want to prioritize defending the elbow. Most of the time, your pathing should look like this. Jiggle picking this for the info and getting the initial information, trying to get a kill. Getting this as a secondary position, doing some kind of a pop flash or just holding the angle, whatever. Third location, fourth location, and then That's it. One more tip I'm gonna give you here is that this angle is also pretty good when you're defending the A main from A short. It's an angle that people overlook a lot of the times because they will be pre-aiming this box and focusing primarily onto the elbow. And this spot is great, like when you notice that enemies are not smoking it off during the A executes, you can just take a free kill with the op and be done with it. When you're retaking B site, most of the times, you want to retake the B site through the CT and regain this map control for your team. Because as much as this area of the map is important on the attack for the post plants, it is equally important for the retakes. So 90% of times when you're rotating from A to B, you should be trying to regain this CT control and tower control with your teammates, and then we're going for a standard retake with our allies. When it comes to A retakes, I mean, you can play them in so many different ways. If you're going through the CT, we can simply smoke off the enemies here and just fight for sight. Take the site control first, be aware that enemies can pop out at any moment of time, and then, you know, focus on the elbow. You can also smoke the site off, for an example, instantly focus on the elbow, regain the elbow control, regain the front side control here, and then we just focus on the enemies that are on the site and in this A short area of the map. The retakes on this map are mega situational when it comes to A site, but B site is set in stone. So how should we fight on mid? First of all, playing window, and here is just kind of useless. Like most of the times enemies are just gonna smoke off this or smoke off this, and you won't have any kill potentials. If you're starting top mid here, you just want to immediately drop down, get behind the wall. And from the wall, you're searching for a timing to essentially kill the enemies, to apply some pressure, create some crossfire setup with your teammates, and that's it. But always, when you're taking the mid control, you need to have a smoke here or here. And generally speaking, like, if you are playing a controller, in every single round where you're not taking aggressively the A main control and B main control, you should be doing this smoke or this smoke. It applies an enormous amount of pressure. And a lot of teams don't know how to explode out from this smoke, and it's pretty dangerous, to be honest. Like, I mean, there are so many angles from which you can kill me if I'm going through that smoke. Also, when you take the mid control, it's so much easier going for some fast flanks and fast lurks. Like if you see 5 enemies A or 5 enemies B, you can just walk in and we are instantly there behind the enemies. Of course, this is not something that you always want to do. Maybe in some eco rounds where you're in some kind of a disadvantage. Another good thing on mid, when you take the mid control with this smoke, is getting on this off angle if you have the timing to do that. Basically in Valorant, same as we do on every map, we want to abuse these positions as one of our first angles and positions that we play. Because these type of angles, where you play towards the edge, are not dangerous. They're like 70-30 fights for you. Why? Because here, you just stay for one bullet, one burst fire, that's it. And now, behind this wall, we can engage the enemies with a Yoru pop flash. We can paranoid the enemies, TP, try to get a kill, get out. We can stun the enemies, you get the point. One thing that you really want to do on Corrode, on both attackers and defenders side, you really want to abuse a variety of weapons. On this map, anything can work. Like literally, you should be using every single gun based what's gonna give you the highest chances of winning the next round. Ask yourself, how can you get the easiest kill, the easiest numbers advantage for your team? And use that gun to get it. You're playing Cypher, but you notice that enemies are not clearing this area of the map with any utility. Get a fucking operator and just delete that guy. Then we can play on the second angle, common or off angle. Every weapon is viable on this map, and every weapon you should use, especially because the map is built out of these small sectors where you can hide and where like you can just shove different guns into the enemy's ass. I don't feel this map is bad. Like, I think it's a very cool map design. Very interesting to play in ranked. The only problem of this map for me is that rotations on defense take too much time, especially when you don't have a mid control. And on the attacker side, what can be a bit of a problem when you play in ranked solo queue, there's so many individual sectors that you need to clear that, you know, doing something solo is pretty hard. You know, some solo aggressive executes and stuff like that. You need some level of communication and teamwork. Overall, that would be my short take. On this map. Editor Frost is gonna figure out this one, like, I don't need to worry about it. Thank you for watching. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Join my Discord server for coaching, and in the future, I'll be making a much more in-depth ranked guide for Corrode. In my ranked playbook on Discord server, I'm gonna make a playbook for Corrode for every single agent individually, starting with Jet and Omen, of course. So I'll be covering all of these topics in depth there. Yeah, see you in the next one.